Davis joining us here on the Rich Eisen Show. My compadre from the NFL Network. NFL Game Day live every Sunday at 1 Eastern Time on NFL Network. Good to see you again, sir.
Good to be here.
Did you see The Running Man? You ever see The Running Man?
Yes, I did. I saw The Running Man. That's it.
Can I read? I'm going to read some tweets real quick
Let's
before we
do
get
it.
to some football. Hey, Rich Eisen, can you send Law home immediately so he can watch The Running Man and be ready for tomorrow's show? That's from @SpikeC20, from @JWhite35. Unacceptable @Rich Eisen. Send that man away until he watches Running Man. People like that can't be trusted. Wow. Here's another one. Hey, Ryan Burns at Football Sickness, you know, who I follow. I think we all follow him on Twitter at FTBL Sickness. I agree at Rich Eisen. Running Man is Arnold's best, also based on a Baldwin Stephen King book.
Yeah, a short story.
Yeah,
I've gotten a few tweets
that's
about that.
right.
Stephen King short.
People say that I have a bad take. Predator's the right one for. I mean, come on now.
True Lies is definitely.
You think True
Lies?
Yeah.
Do you want to change the poll question?
That's my favorite.
What is the poll question right now? We'll ask this of Eric before we close it off.
Should the Cleveland Browns release Johnny Manziel?
What do you think?
No, too soon. It's too soon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they know what they have gotten themselves into. I think they knew that before, and he's a kid, so it's too soon. I like what they're doing, not putting him on the field, letting him learn how to be a pro.
I will always admit when my take is off. I said put him out there after he beat the Tennessee Titans and Marcus Mariota. Why are you going back to Josh McCown?
Yeah, we had that discussion.
Man, was I wrong. I couldn't have been more wrong.
Let him. I actually think that's one of the smarter things Pettin is doing, and and also, I mean, he's a kid. He's 22 years old. And he's, and he and his young girlfriend, college girlfriend, I mean, they're kids. So, unfortunately for him, everything that he's put himself in a position to where everything he does is going to be under the microscope. He has to understand that, and he has to deal with it and has to grow up. But I don't think you cut him yet because I don't know if he can play.
Well, the bottom line is the guy should Uber, should get a car. Okay, certainly if he's having a couple of drinks. And by the way, if he had an Uber, that would have helped in two situations. One, he wouldn't have been driving. And two, there would be no need for a wallet for his girlfriend to grab and throw out the window.
Oh.
You could just pay for,
I don't know what would have gone out of the window, man. Because that's not,
I know.
That wasn't going to change that. So alcohol wasn't the issue, or he would have gone to jail.
Right.
So that's what I'm looking at on that one. It wasn't an issue of alcohol. Now, I don't know if the Cleveland Browns have anything in place where they don't want him drinking, but he didn't break any league rules. He voluntarily put himself into the rehab. So now, it's not a good look. That's the thing about it. It's not a good look, him saying I was out at lunch drinking, but he was stopped by the cops. He wasn't drinking. I don't know what was going on in the car. We know that's not a good look either. But, again, you have two kids. So he's got to think about what he's dealing with from a relationship standpoint, what he wants to become from a professional standpoint. Those are things that we all go through life and we all learn as we grow.
Okay, so the poll question as it currently stands, and we'll close it here on the Rich Eisen Show.
55% say yes.
Say release.
Release.
How about that? No. All right, now change it to your favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Throw Running Man in there, Predator, True Lies, and any of the Terminator movies.
It's got to be up there,
Okay, make that the
We've done this poll question before.
We have done it. Let's do it again.
Okay, great.
Good Lord. So what's going on with the Seattle Seahawks secondary? That we see Greg Olsen score a touchdown in the last minute of the game. It's the first time in the Pete Carroll era that Seattle loses a game at home with somebody scoring in the last minute against them. And we're seeing fingers being pointed amongst the Legion of Boom, amongst the three best guys in that secondary. You, Mr. Secondary, tell me, break that down for me. What's going on there?
That is proof positive that training camp is a necessary evil. Because remember, Cam wasn't there. There are different voices. There are different bodies out in the Legion of Boom.
So you're saying that is proof positive of the holdout chicken coming home to roost at the worst possible time? Is that what you're saying?
Communication. It's not just a question of Cam understanding the defense. He's in. He understands what's going on. He understands what's happening. But when you start playing, I played in Pete's defense. I know what they're doing back there. There are a lot of dual calls. There are a lot of things that change under the gun, on the run, in the middle of the play. If you're not communicating properly, if you're expecting a guy to do things a certain way and he doesn't do them, or if he knows, like when I played, Cam Chancellor and that defense Tim McDonald was that guy. I knew after a while that Tim was going to see certain things. I was seeing what he was seeing, just like a quarterback and a receiver have to see the same thing.
Yes.
I would see what he was seeing and make the adjustment accordingly, even without it being verbally said. So right now, realize Cam missed all of training camp. He missed the first couple of weeks of the season.
He did.
He's going through training camp right now. He's learning to communicate with the guys that are out there. So in the Cincinnati game, there are 2 touchdowns that happened at the tight end position, up the middle of the field, communication. Olsen, it was a communication issue. You look at the tape, and I did. Those guys are the same guys. They're still covering guys. They're still rushing the quarterback. But there have been some communication problems that you get when guys haven't worked together consistently. It's really that simple in my mind.
Is it something that Colin Kaepernick can exploit tomorrow night, do you think? Because that would put the Seahawks at 2-5 if they could somehow win this game, the Niners, and put them above them in the standings. I mean, that would be an emotional and actual physical blow to this team's chances of getting back to the playoffs, period.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big game. It really is. It's a rivalry game for those 2 teams, and it's a really big game because, as you just said, the winner of this game is in the hunt. You're still really in the hunt, and that's a big blow, and you're looking up at 2 teams that, in your division, that could definitely cause you some problems because you still have the head-to-heads. Can Cap take advantage of that? You can try by route combination to try to create and formation to try to create some confusion back there, which I would think that they would do. But now you're also putting your quarterback in a position where it goes back to the whole mechanics thing where he says, I'm not concerned about mechanics. Well, your game's concerned about mechanics. You being able to be your best is about mechanics, and he's better out of the pocket because now it's instinctive moves, and you saw that in this past game. When he's moving, he's running, it's just all instincts. He can see and make big plays for them. So the question is, how do you do that? Because you shrink the field by rolling him one way or the other, and that plays into the secondary's hands of the Legion of Boom because now they have less to worry about.
The problem that you see with Seattle right now, before we take a break, is that nothing seems to be clicking. And by that, I mean they finally get Jimmy Graham a 100-yard receiving game. Russell Wilson looks a little bit better protected in the pocket. Still can't hold on to a lead at home. They've had 2 games this year where they've got a defensive touchdown and they've lost. In the 13 previous times in the Pete Carroll era, they won all those games. It's always the one mistake. They seem to be that type of team now where they have to play perfect football. And that's not a team that you usually see as winning 12, 13 games and being a conference favorite anymore. That's what it looks like so far to me with Seattle.
No, agreed. They for the past 2-3 years, they always made that one play, be it offensively, defensively, or special teams.
But they're even making it, and it hasn't been enough.
There you go. I was just about to say, see, they're still making that play, but the difference this year, they're making that one mistake. And communication mistakes can be fixed. That right there, you have a group of guys, those are the things that can happen. If you are just physically better than me, there's nothing I can do about it. If I don't have the cover guys outside, it doesn't matter. I have to try to protect those guys.
Right.
They actually have the guys on their roster defensively to fix all of those things. So that's not an issue. It's communication that's an issue. It's not that they don't have the players. Offensively, their offensive line is just not as good as it's been in the past. And it wasn't a great offensive line. I saw what they were doing in this past game with Jimmy Graham. They basically used him as a wide receiver. That's what they did. It's like, let's forget this experiment of putting him at the wide tight end position. They are using him as a wide receiver. It was one play on the goal line that was comical. They had him in on goal line, and he's in his 3-point stance, and they ran away from him, and he fell down on top of 2 other guys that were beating each other up. It's really funny. That's not his thing. Wide out position, he can make plays. That's what they're going to do. But you got to get that mistake out, and nobody can. You can't coach. Well, let me see this. You can't scheme that mistake out. So I don't know right now. Losing this game right here is going to hurt him big time.
Eric Davis is here on the Rich Eisen Show. We're back in 60 ticks of the clock. I want to talk a little bit of the Broncos offense with you, not the defense.
Okay.
Broncos offense with you. Somebody has said something, compared Peyton Manning to a previous Denver Broncos quarterback, and that Broncos quarterback is not John Elway. That's coming up next, as well as our no defense games of the week for our draftops.com Friends of Rich Pick 3 League. You will be hopefully commenting on these games, okay, Eric Davis?
I will do
That's
that.
next here on this edition of the Rich Eisen Show, for which the Running Man home game is available. Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. If you're holding on, please continue to hold. I sound like a customer service representative. Please continue to hold. We will take your calls in a matter of moments, and we're going to get to our no defense, draftops.com, no defense segment in a matter of moments. But I want to talk to you about the Broncos offense. Peyton Manning, 7 interceptions, 7 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. They're still 6-0. The defense has been balling out. And it's not all Peyton Manning. The running game hasn't been there yet. Demaryius Thomas had a case of the dropsies in Cleveland that was stunning for most of the time.
Yes.
But I want to call your attention to this quote from Steve Tasker, who a lot of people think should have a gold jacket based on his special teams play.
He was pretty good.
From Western New York.
Yes, he was.
Saying to Peyton Manning, his mental skills are probably as sharp as anybody in the league, but who would have thought Peyton Manning coming over and replacing Tim Tebow, and 2 or 3 years later, he turns into Tim Tebow?
No, not true.
It's getting to the point where they're winning games and you can't figure out why they're doing so with a quarterback playing as poorly as Peyton Manning. Turning into Tim Tebow? I mean, that's particularly off the charts,
That's
correct?
just mean. That's really just mean. I mean, everyone wants to pick on Peyton right now. For years, Peyton, and this is the thing I don't understand why everyone's saying, well, they can't win this way. They're a one-dimensional team, it's just defense. Well, Peyton was asked to win games his entire career by himself.
Yes.
Didn't necessarily have strong defenses. And Peyton, you're supposed to find a way to win this game. Now he has a defense that's doing it. Peyton still can there are certain things that he can still do.
He's still throwing dimes down the sidelines from time to time.
Well, he has to get it up and down quickly.
Sure,
so
but
his game has changed, and he's smart enough to change with it. But can you win the way they are winning? Yes, they're 6-0. Can you win a championship the way they're winning? Yes. You don't have to have. Russell Wilson won a championship with not a good, but a great defense. You can win with a great defense. Trent Dilfer won with not a good, but a great defense.
But let's be honest here, though.
You can win it with a
Of course
great
you can.
defense.
But here's the deal. It's going to be Denver's going to have to win a home game either in the wild card or divisional round. And the reason, and the only way that we have to wonder what it is can they get a better record than Cincinnati, right? To get that other bye week. We're just assuming New England's going to get, but this is assuming New England gets one of the bye weeks,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
So they're either going to have to win a divisional game to get to a championship game that they're either going to be able to host New England or go to. And it's going to come down to, can Peyton Manning in January when it's freezing cold come up with a win in the playoffs, 1 or 2 of them, to get to San Francisco? That's the only question that I have in my mind right now, because they're not going to lose this division, I don't believe.
No, I don't think so either.
No matter how poorly Peyton Manning might be playing, it's not going to be poor enough for them to lose the AFC West right now.
Agreed.
That's the way I'm looking at it right now.
Agreed.
And can he get his physical attributes and be healthy enough in January to win playoff games? That's what it's all going to come down to. It's just filler between now and then, as far as I'm concerned.
No, agreed. Now, I said when he first took over the job that I didn't think he was going to win another Super Bowl. But that's just how I felt about it. I didn't think he was going to win another Super Bowl because everything was on him to do it. And the way the league was changing, with the way defenses were starting to play, passing is about avoidance and spacing. You had some defenses out there like you see with Seattle, and the NFC West had just started to turn into that type division where they were going to beat you up. So you weren't going to win that way. And you saw when he got into the Super Bowl, that's what happened. I actually think he has a better shot now because it's not on him.
If C.J. Anderson or Ronnie Hillman, or they could get some sort of running game going where Peyton doesn't have to put it up 20, 25 times and stay healthy between now and January and get a running game to take some of the pressure off him and beat people up on defense, they could be a 13, 14 win team, get that bye week, maybe even take care of New England when New England comes into their house in week 12, and then have to win a playoff game in January.
And see, now you have a coach that is going to continue to work, and Kubiak is going to continue to work on his run game because that's what he wants to do.
Right.
And you may actually get that because you just need, as you said, you just need that a couple of times to happen. If your defense can be great, not good, but great, and not allow teams to score 28, 30 points, you have a shot. That's how they're going to plan on winning this year.
Tim Tebow, though?
Tim Tebow, I mean, that's just mean. Again, like I said, that's just mean. This is a guy who just didn't play the quarterback position in a pretty way. That's mean.
Very good. Let's talk about fantasy football right now. DraftOps.com. It's our no defense segment. We do this every Wednesday where the Chris Command Center and myself choose a game that is going to be lacking in defense where you can find somebody for a DraftOps.com pick 3 or any of your fantasy choices in your year-long fantasy league, perhaps. You could find some fantasy points in these games. And then we choose a player, and then we use that player for our DraftOps.com pick 3 later on in the week. And you can comment on all this. Hit the drop, Mike Dillon.
I'm not pleased with what we did on defense.
Walk the ball.
DraftOps.com's No Defense Games of the Week.
And I go first this week?
Yeah, you're up first.
I go
Walker
first?
second.
You're up.
Okay, here we go. My game, no defense game of the week, is Cleveland at St. Louis.
Okay,
Now,
like it.
St. Louis, as you know, can get after the quarterback, and they can go ahead and stop some people from time to time. I understand. But their rush defense is 21st in the league. They allow 6 plays per drive, which is 23rd in the league. And in terms of rush defense, 4.5 yards per carry allowed at home. So St. Louis may be able to get off to the quarterback. They've got to tighten the bolt, certainly at home against the running game. Cleveland has allowed 26 or more points in 4 straight games. I don't think I need to go any further than that. I have man love for my choice. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'm going with Todd Gurley as my running back this
I like
week.
it.
I'm going with Todd Gurley.
I like it.
This guy has run through the Arizona and Green Bay defenses. Now here he goes against the Cleveland Browns. I'm going with Todd Gurley as my DraftOps.com no defense pick 3 player to watch this week. Chris Brockman, you have the floor.
I like it. My game is a battle of teams that could be in the future playing in Los Angeles. Raiders at Chargers. Oakland defense 31st against the pass. The Chargers are 29th against the run. Both teams bottom 3rd in the league in scoring defense, and both teams bottom 3rd in the league in sacks. They do not get after the quarterback. There's going to be a lot of time to put up points and put up lots of yardage in this game. I've spoken to some people, and there will be at least over 47 of them watching the game this week.
Very good.
And so, as we all know, San Diego, #1 in the league in pass offense.
Just say the
and
words Phillip
total
and Rivers and
offense.
get through it.
I wish I had a bolo tie for this segment. Phillip Rivers.
How good has he been playing, Eric? How top of his game is Phillip Rivers?
He's trying to do it himself. He really is.
Well, I mean, that offensive line's so banged up.
Yeah.
And they run all of these routes across the middle.
Across the middle, yeah, and you know.
Keenan Allen is all pro caliber right now, too.
Yeah, well, we knew him coming back was going to help big time, and you know, and Gates, and I think I would have gone versus the Raiders. I would have gone with Gates instead of Phillips because they have yet to cover a tight end. That's the one area of the field. Ken Norton has his defense playing well, but they have yet to cover tight ends. Tight ends have big games against them.
Law, do you want to make an audible here? You want to go?
I'm actually going to make an audible, but a different sort of audible. I'm
Okay.
going off the grid. I know we talked about this. I was going to go with Matt Stafford, and I apologize to the control room, but I'm changing it up.
Oh, wait,
Okay.
hold on a second. Did we shame you into doing that in the
Dude.
break?
No.
It's
There's no
okay. He
shaming.
can do
I
this
just-
because you went. By the way, he's gone Sam Bradford 2 weeks in a row for his pick 3
And the week
quarterback.
before that was Brandon Whedon.
For the radio audience, the look of consternation of Eric Davis in the direction of Law at the Chris Command Center right now could
Sometimes
burn
you just
a hole.
gotta go with that gut feeling, and I just got a feeling seconds before my turn was up. I'm going Saints and Colts. I'm going
That's
Andrew Luck.
Oh.
A lot of points coming out
There's
of this
no
game.
doubt. I agree with
think
you
he's
on
going to
that
get back on track. I may even double him up in my pick 3
Ooh.
with the wide receiver T.Y. Hilton on the outside. But I'm giving you too much
That's on
information.
Friday.
But one of the reasons why I'm going with Andrew Luck is the Saints defense, 28th overall, 24th against the pass. Oh, and the Colts defense, not much better. 18th overall and 28th against the pass, too. So Drew Brees is a great play here, too, if you don't want to go with Andrew Luck.
What do you think of this game, Eric, this weekend?
That a scoreboard could be broken.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, it's not a whole lot of defense being played by either one of these teams right now, and you know, and I know the Saints are feeling good about themselves, but
This is it for them, too, right? At 2-4. It's go or no-go time for them right now.
yeah, it's go or no go, and I think it's going to be no go because I think the Colts will win this game.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't think it'll be a lot of defense playing those.
Before I let you go, is Carolina for real?
Yes.
They are for real.
Yes, we've had this conversation.
I know that, but
They are for
I'm
real.
revisiting it.
They are built the way you have to be built right now for the long haul. And it's, I mean, that's a type team that could go on the road. As you see, they can play in tough areas. Their quarterback is
MVP type numbers. Cam Newton, would you put him in an MVP?
If you want to get,
vote
I mean,
right now?
you can put him in the conversation, but I mean, as long as Brady and Aaron Rodgers are doing what they're doing, it's going to be hard to knock them off their
Cam,
horse.
I mean, Cam making throws.
Cam is making throws. Cam
making runs.
He's making runs, and he's not missing as many reads because even in the Seattle game, there were some big plays he left on the table. And
He did?
Yeah, and he's
Okay.
getting better at not doing that, but he's making the plays that they have to make to win. So, yeah, Carolina's for real. And their defense is pretty good.
Well, on Thursday, Gillian Jacobs is part of our Pick 3 Celebrity League. She's going to be here in person. I'm excited about that. She's one of our favorite podcast guests from back in the podcast days. We'll also have our next fan of the week on tomorrow's program as well to make his or her picks on the air. You too can sign up on draftops.com for a pick 3 within seconds. Draftops.com, the official daily fantasy website of the Rich Eisen Show, for good reason. So simple to play, easy to win. Go to draftops.com today. Pick, watch, win. That's draftops.com. Good to see you, Eric Davis.
Always
Thank you
good
for
to see
coming
you.
in. Thanks for fat-mouthing with us on Wednesday.
Love it. I
We're
love it.
back with more here on the Rich Eisen Show.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.